Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into Kill All Angels by Robert Brockway, the third and final book in his Vicious Circuit trilogy. This is the explosive conclusion to a series that mixes punk rock chaos, body horror, and cosmic weirdness. If you haven't read the earlier books, The Unnoticeables and The Empty Ones, just know this: angels in this world are not the kind winged protectors we think of. They're horrifying alien intelligences that treat human beings like broken math problems. Their job is to solve us. Sometimes that means erasing us completely. Other times, it leaves grotesque leftovers, tar-dripping monsters, faceless empty ones, and other horrors. Kill All Angels brings all this to a head. It takes place across two timelines, one in the 1980s Los Angeles punk scene, and one in 2013. The story follows punk burnout Carrie, stuntwoman Caitlin, and the tragic empty one named Zong as they make a final, desperate attempt to push back against the angels. This script is about 2,000 words, so buckle in, spoilers ahead. The nature of the angels. To understand this book, you need to understand how angels work. They don't see us as people with souls or stories. They see us as corrupted files, or equations that don't balance. They erase contradictions. If you have conflicting desires, if your personality is messy, if you're redundant, to them, you're broken code. A perfect solve means you just vanish. An imperfect one creates monsters like tarmen. And sometimes, people become empty ones, hollow, faceless shells that still walk around, stripped of everything that made them human. It's cold, logical, and terrifying. By the time we reach Kill All Angels, these beings are revealed to be everywhere. They don't just haunt alleys or stalk punks at night. They stretch across dimensions, across infinity, rewriting the fabric of existence itself. The main characters. Carrie. Carrie is our anchor. He's a washed-up punk, a homeless alcoholic, and someone who's been fighting angels for decades. He's cynical and bitter, but also loyal and stubborn. Carrie represents defiance. He's not a shining hero, he's a mess, but he refuses to let angels erase what makes people human. Caitlin. Caitlin is a younger stuntwoman who's grown into a visionary leader. She's bold, reckless, and idealistic. Early in this book, she experiences a cosmic vision. A massive space whale lifts her perspective, showing her how vast the angelic infestation really is. She realizes their mission has to be huge, not just resist, but kill all angels. The danger is that by looking at the universe on this scale, she risks losing her empathy and her connection to normal people. Zong. Zong is an empty one. He's already been hollowed out, faceless, stripped of identity. But unlike most of his kind, he still remembers fragments of who he used to be. He's helped Carrie before, but in this book he's unraveling. Sometimes he seems like an ally. Other times, like a ticking time bomb. His very existence blurs the line between friend and enemy. Jia. Jia is another empty one, but unlike Zong, she's firmly on the side of the angels. She manages their presence in Los Angeles' Chinatown, almost like a bureaucrat for cosmic horror. She becomes one of the main antagonists the group has to face before they can even think about killing angels. Dual timelines. 1980s Los Angeles. In the first timeline, we see Carrie in mid-80s LA. He's at rock bottom, reeling from the loss of his best friend. This is when he first gets pulled deeply into the war with angels. The gritty punk scene, with its chaos, drugs, and self-destruction, collides head-on with the cold logic of angelic solving. These chapters explain how Carrie became the broken but battle-hardened man we meet decades later. 2013. In the second timeline, Caitlin leads the charge. After her space whale vision, she's convinced the only solution is total extermination, kill all angels. She pulls Carrie back into the fight and insists they need Zong, despite the danger he poses. Together, they set their sights on Jia, who runs much of the angels system in Chinatown. By cutting back and forth between these two timelines, Brockway shows how past choices echo into the present, and how the scars of the 80s shape the final battle. Rising tension. Caitlin's revelation. Caitlin's cosmic vision changes everything. She sees the angels not just as monsters on Earth, but as infinite beings spreading across dimensions like a cancer. This gives her clarity, but also sets her apart. Carrie fights to survive in alleys and dive bars, Caitlin is thinking on the scale of galaxies. Their different approaches create real tension between them. Zhang's decline. When they reconnect with Zhang, it's clear he's slipping. His empty one nature is pulling him further from humanity. Carrie still trusts him, at least partly, but Caitlin sees the danger. Zhang could be the key to victory, or he could be the thing that gets them all killed. Jia's power. Meanwhile, Jia looms as a threat. She's not just a monster but a manager, keeping the Angels' influence running smoothly in LA. She represents the system as much as the beings themselves. To get to the Angels' core, Carrie and Caitlin have to confront Jia head-on. Action and horror. Brockway doesn't hold back on wild, surreal horror. One of the standout sequences takes place on a roller coaster. Characters are fighting for their lives on the rattling tracks, stomachs dropping, monsters lunging at impossible angles. It's chaotic, bloody, and absurd, a perfect example of the series' mix of humor and horror. Every creature, every grotesque moment, feels like part of the Angels' logical but horrifying system. Tarmen ooze. Faceless shells leer. Human bodies collapse into dripping remainders. It's gross, but it all fits the idea of humans as broken math problems. The climax. Everything builds to a showdown. In the 1980s, Carrie fights his early battles, setting up patterns of defiance that echo forward. In 2013, Carrie, Caitlin, and Zhang assault the noumenal core, the metaphysical heart of the Angels' power. The final confrontation takes place in Chinatown, where Jia controls the machinery. The lines between the physical and metaphysical blur, fists, weapons, tar, and cosmic logic all collide. Caitlin uses her vision to try and outthink the Angels. Carrie relies on sheer stubborn willpower, punching back even when it seems pointless. And Zhang, tragic Zhang, teeters on the edge. He wants to help, but his empty one nature threatens to pull him to the other side. His role is heartbreaking, part savior, part threat, never fully in control of himself. The ending. The ending is bittersweet. The Angels aren't completely destroyed. How could they be, when they're infinite? But Jia's defeat cripples their operations in Los Angeles. For now, humanity gets a reprieve. Caitlin proves it's possible to kill Angels, or at least wound them. But the cost is enormous. Carrie gives up more of his humanity, scarred beyond repair. Caitlin risks losing touch with the very people she wants to save. And Zhang's fate remains uncertain, too empty to fully return, too human to fully vanish. It's not a clean victory. But it's something. The message is clear, even against impossible odds, resistance matters. Themes. Humanity versus perfection. The Angels want efficiency, clean equations, and order. Humans are contradictions, chaos, and flaws. What the Angels see as errors, the book frames as our greatest strength. Sacrifice. Every victory comes with pain. Bodies are broken, sanity is frayed, lives are lost. Carrie shows the physical cost. Caitlin shows the emotional one. Trust and betrayal. Can you trust someone who's half-hollow, like Zhang? Can you trust yourself when cosmic visions are pulling you away from reality, like Caitlin? The book shows how fragile trust really is. Punk resistance. At its core, this trilogy is punk horror. Punk music is messy, raw, rebellious, the exact opposite of angelic logic. Carrie's punk roots are a metaphor for refusing to be solved. Cosmic horror with hope. Unlike Lovecraft, who insisted humanity is powerless, Brockway gives his characters some agency. They can't wipe out Angels entirely, but they can punch back. They can resist. That defiance is enough. Strengths. The mythology is unique, Angels as mathematical horrors, not divine beings. The action scenes are wild and imaginative. Carrie is a standout character, broken but stubborn. The humor and horror balance keeps the story engaging even at its darkest. Weaknesses. Some readers find the ending anticlimactic. Caitlin's character sometimes feels overshadowed by her cosmic role. The constant weirdness can be overwhelming. This is main things in this book. Please subscribe and like for more.